Now, as we start part 3 on this wheel refinishing job, a couple of things to keep in mind. We've tried some new tools. We've tried some new parts that we've been able to get in certain areas with here. It's kind of an unusual thing. I wanted to do the hub part first because though the rim goes relatively quickly, I wanted to get the first half of this done. What I've been doing is working in short sessions of about 2 hours each, because usually we have something happening in the middle of the day, something at the end of the day, and then the baby comes over. So we have a lot of stuff to work around, but by doing it in small bites like this, I think the bottom line is you just have a better chance of enjoying the work, and which I certainly do, and a better chance of having some good quality. Now what's surprising, and it's probably one of the things I've learned in the course of the last year or so doing the wheels that I've done in the last year, we did these many ways in the past, and I have even done it the really crude way of trying to use paint remover and scrapers, and I've tried. And yes, on some situations like you can do that, but this way that I've shown is very labor intensive. But the result is really, I think, worth the effort. Now, and worth the effort is in the eye of the beholder. Now, what I try to do, and I've used it to my advantage, time management. When I used to work a real job at Ford Motor Company, time management was one of the things I had to account for in a very busy computer department. So one of the things I try to do is I know if I'm going to work about 2 hours today. I have an about 2 hour window, and then other things are going to happen that I just can't work 8 hours in a row. But I use that to my advantage, and you can too. Because when I'm working at this, and I'm not shooting video, I'm working at it like a squirrel. I'm working very intensely. When I'm shooting video, I try to pass on tips, or in the worst of all worlds, make it entertaining. But again, we have several tools that we've used. I try to detail them. This was a surprisingly efficient tool for taking paint off. This little guy worked great yesterday, or day before's video. I don't even remember. We've been doing so many things here. But I do remember from doing other wheels similar to this, that when you're doing the rim part of this one was the one that worked the best. Now, it works the best for 2 reasons. It leaves it just rough enough that when I go by with a final sanding with some, maybe some 320 or something before I prime it. But if you can see this up close, it leaves just enough scratches in there, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking, if this were like a chrome polished surface, the paint would definitely not stick. So what I try to do is from each little project, figure what areas it is, what tool would work on what areas, and that's the information I'm trying to pass on. But this one, as we do the rim, and I'll do the whole rim of course, even up around the edge and around here, this is one of the tools that seems to work the best for that. And these are about $3 in Arbor freight. And one thing I always try to do on a wheel is to do one, like a checkerboard, do this quadrant, break it up into smaller pieces, because what happens if you try to just bounce around, it just seems like it takes me longer anyway. And actually for the smooth part of the rim, the orange wheel I've tried several of the other tools, see if they're going to go any better. The orange wheel seems the best. And I'll do this quadrant, that quadrant. And maybe by the end of this session, I'll have this side of the wheel done, and we'll be ready to flip it and do the other side. Now here's another thing I wanted to share, and it's a simple thing. You would think it was simple until you do it, and then you find it's not that simple. No matter what tool you have, whether it's this tool, a Dremel tool, or a jackhammer, I guess, there's a speed at which this is comfortable. And when you find that speed, now here's an example. If you go, you're going nowhere. If you just hold it in one spot, what happens is you make a divot. Well, there's a speed at which it's pretty happy. I don't know how to even define what that speed is. You've got to go back and forth, but at some point it just peels the material away. Now let me see if I can just demonstrate this. I don't know if this is going to be a good demonstration or not. I've been practicing. There is a speed at which now I can explain in a real scientific way what my analysis of what actually happens. When you go too fast, an example is when you're grinding and going, well, you're not letting the material on the leading edge of the cutter warm up. If you go too slow, of course, you're just grinding material away. You can't keep a nice smooth finish. But at some point in time, you find that speed, and it's kind of like you just got to find it. What happens is at the leading edge of the cutter, you're heating the material. Then the material is cherry red hot or very hot or whatever heat paint can be. And it just bloop and peels off, because here's what happens. When you get the speed just right, you'll notice the paint just comes off. Let me see if I can show this. It comes off like powder. And it's just a question of practice and what speed, getting that speed right. And then from that point on, it goes relatively, well, relative is simple. You know, a job like this, there's never going to be a time. It's just like you get it done in an hour. And if you break it up into segments like I do, what happens, it's easier to do it. It's just physically easier, because after about 2 or 3 hours of this, I just get bored and tired. Then I need to go eat a cookie. Now the rim area here, of course, we want to keep, the issue is we want to have the paint look absolutely gorgeous around the rim, so I'll do a lot of hand sanding on that. But I also want to make sure I etch, and I'll do it by hand around the edge. But this is good, but I don't want to get this down in there. I'd like to just have it roll right around that edge if possible. The point is, once you get that feel for how the tool is cutting, oh, we've got one side done now. Now the rest of this, I will dress off by hand. The rest of this, and I might not get much else done before this session ends, but if I can get this side of this rim done and get some of the hand sanding done, any little details. Now there's a couple areas where this is really, this here is a rough, I may have to even file that, that's so rough. But I will, and then some of this I'm going to have to get in by hand. But by spreading it out over several days, several sessions, it just makes it a lot easier to do that work. Now in this very short session, we did get it done. I got the edges nice. This is ready for maybe a final hand sanding on this side. And then ultimately, next time we get to do a session, we're just going to repeat everything on this side. But we're not having a race. And what spoils work like this is when you try to do it and be done by lunchtime. This is just, it's like good dental work. My old dentist used to tell me, good dental work takes time. But that's all we're going to get done here. Now, I thought it was really nice. Glenn hasn't been here for a few days. He hit the lottery, actually, and went out, bought a Lamborghini, and he says, who the hell needs a Arnowski?
I hit the lottery when I
What he did, he said, and I heard him say it, he said, Wendy, you got a lot of work on that wheel, but I'll be over Saturday with my short sleeve Ducati shirt on, and I will sand the other side.
Oh my God.
Oh my God is right. Back to the A-team. Quit your job.
Huzzah.
Was that the best year you ever had with no job?
Listen,
You can do it again.
I had no money, but I had more fun than anything.
It was great.
It was great.
I'm going to make a video of all the great fun we had doing all your jobs.
She waited a long time to get this new Ducati. Now she's got me scheduled to make
Now
curtains.
she's waiting for the curtains.
No, as soon as I finish the wheel, she said I can start making the curtains.
Karen,
she decided
did you
not
always
to get
have
a
this
rug.
table?
What table?
No, the table's new.
The table's new.
Nice
The
move.
table's new.
Nice move.
And look what else we did. I faux finished this table.
She faux finished up the marble
White and
tables.
gray.
Videos out on YouTube already. Wow, 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 wow.
I watched you.
Actually, we were going to get a rug in here. She decided she likes the wood floors, which are,
It's beautiful.
hey, she's the
But I didn't like
designer.
the gray
I'm in
bit,
labor.
so-
I love it. Okay.
But that's not the real reason we're here. Yeah, you think building motorcycles, building old, restored, rusty motorcycles. It's about the food Karen makes, and the Jot knows about this. Larry, he knew about it. Luciano knows about it. When you come to the house in the seasonal time of year, Karen puts out a nice spread. And she does it for all my friends too, so oh my God! Now the
Why
Jot,
did you want me to
the
joke?
Jot ate so many bowls of that soup. It was unbelievable.
not
Look what
this-
I get.
Not this soup.
I'm in labor. I get a piece of bread. Management gets soup. Home ownership gets soup. I get a
Eat
loaf
your
of-
bread and then no butter until you do the other job.
Oh,
we
no
asked you.
butter until that other side of the wheel is done. Glenn is here to see one in real life. How's that look in real life?
This is amazing.
See, and this is the part of it you see as the wheel is turning. I think it came out real
Wow,
nice.
it's like jewelry.
Yeah.
So I got to bring some wheels back here to redo.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
amazing.
What do you think we do here at Bitchin' Rides?
Holy cow, does this look gorgeous.
Yeah. Luciano's supposed to come over with some fairing parts today. I
That
don't know if
looks
he's going to make it or
so
not.
factory.
That changes the whole look of the bike. To me, the whole look of the bike.
Wow.
I never liked the black wheels. The bike was too dark. Now I just can't wait to get the front one done. That really
now
floats my boat.
Now I'll drive you nuts.
Well, it's always good to see our friends, to see Glenn, and we hope we're going to be able to get up to his house. He's got some new toys to share in the near future. But right now, it's time for another session. Session. Now, you would hope that when you flip this over, the other side is done. Wrong. Now, I want to show this up close with the camera, because we have this side is going to be a little more labor intensive than the other side. And this is always the problem with many of the wheels that I've worked on. They put this, you have to grind it off. I'm sure this is when it was cast and don't eat it or whatever. The year, the month, the day, that it's a Yamaha wheel, whatever. But the whole point is it's something we have to grind off. And that was one of the reasons that I wound up buying the disc grits, is I want to try to use those before I do anything on this wheel. The thing that I want to do is try to get rid of this, and that's going to be the next step on this. Now, because this is another, all we have lately is short sessions, another short session, well, we're going to try to at least get that done in the session, and then if not, finish it the next time after that. Now, our friend Rich Peabody sent us a really good piece of information. I've always assumed, now he used to own a motorcycle dealership, so he should know. I've assumed this is the light spot of the tire where the valve would go, and that's worked out pretty well, by the way. But he said somewhere in here you can see where the two plies join, and that's the heavy side. So I'm not going to do it right now because we're not going to mount the tire yet, but I'm going to take it upon myself that when it's time to do this, I definitely want to get in there with a flashlight, see if I can tell where the two plies join. Well, we're going to find out. It's just one more thing to figure out in our ongoing quest to invade Poland. So these are the sticky, they're not sticky. What happens is they screw on. They're sandpaper discs. They screw onto this mandrel. I bought a bunch, all different kind of grits, and we'll see if these are of any value in our to get these letters off. To be honest, it looks like it's working better than I ever thought it would. Wow. Absolutely amazing. This is working great. So let me show it. Another $3 Harbor Freight tool that works just perfectly. Wow. Now what happens is, something you might want to consider. A motorcycle always has a side. I call it the side where the kickstand is, because the bike normally would lean this way. So I call this the no-show side. And it's the other side that typically when you look at a motorcycle, it's leaning on the kickstand that way. This is the side you see. Now I know because the angle of the spokes, this is the side that if you were going to do one side better than the other, or scratch one side and not the other, this is the side you'd like to keep pristine. But anyway, luckily these things are on the other side. So even if we left these on, nobody'd probably see them, but I'll see them. So again, that looks like it's going to work just fine. So again, these are the ones we want to take off. And I don't know totally how much I'm going to be able to get off. But I know these pads look like they work pretty. I'm amazed how well they work. And I bought a bunch of them, all different grits. I started with the finest grit because I don't want to get too many scratches down in there. But hopefully at some real near future time we'll have this. It's a dream. But I know it's going to be. I know I'm not going to get it done in this session. But I'm going to grind into this another couple hours tonight, and this at least I'll know at the end of this session how this is going to work. And so far, that's another tool we've been able to use that, and I've left them right out on the bench. All of the tools that seem to be working, and basically they're all from Harbor Freight. That's pretty funny. Now the way this day played out was pretty unusual. We were going to babysit. That was canceled. We had other things we were going to do. And then it started snowing, so what Karen decided to do was we're just going to stay home tonight. So what I decided, and take advantage of the fact that I had a little more time to try to finish this up, because it's such a dirty job, I just wanted to get it over with. Then if I can get this session, get this finished up, a little bit of the detailing anyway, I can clean the shop up, which would be a nice big help for me. But anyway, we use all the power tools. Once that's done, then I got to do the final little bit by hand, radius all the edges off, which is what I'm doing right now. Once I get this done, I'm really hoping it doesn't snow too much tonight. Anyway, that will really be nice. Anyway, it'll be one day away from having some paint on it. I did tough it out. You can see both sides are done. It didn't sand itself. That's the problem. So, but the last little bit I always have to do by hand anyway. I don't want to gouge it all up anymore. And I think ultimately once this is all done, I know Glenn liked the wheel when it's done, that I think this is really going to be a real piece of jewelry when it's done. Now, boy, I really stayed up late. This is unbelievable. But you know what? It's so worth it. I want to prep all this down. Get some of the dust off of it. There's still a little bit of dust. Oh, I know when I'm doing this, we're going to be ready to paint tomorrow or the next day. Hard to know if we're going to be able to paint because it's snowing out there. And obviously, we can't paint in the house itself. But once we get to this point, and I know this is a tremendous amount of work. It's a lot of hours of work, but it's so rewarding to me to know that. First off, we can do everything in-house. This doesn't have to get shipped out to anybody, left, mailed, sent to somebody's other shop where who knows what they do, the monkeys eat it or whatever. I love being able to do everything in-house with all my equipment, all my sandpaper and everything. And I know I've put a lot of time into this wheel. I've put a lot of time into that back wheel. But I know basically, who knows if I'm going to be alive in 2 years or whatever. But for as long as I have to own these bikes and enjoy them and share them, and wow, today. It was great seeing Glenn. Hadn't seen him in a long time. And we are just in the middle of what I think is going to be a great winter of projects. We got some, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. The projects are, we don't know where. Not everybody is as quick to get these projects down here as I expect. But anyway, we will get them. And I know if you've watched the whole front wheel video, the whole back wheel video, you know, a lot of the stuff is the same, but some is different. This is a little more complicated wheel. It's actually, it was a lot more work getting this ready, but in the end, we really got something special. I think so anyway. Now, as I'm getting to hit the shower tonight, boy, I'm looking at that. That's really going to be nice. And hopefully tomorrow morning when we wake up, we won't be having a shovel or snow blower or whatever. We'll have a minimum of snow. We'll get some primer on there. I can't wait. It's hard to sleep when you've had a day like today. Had a pretty exciting day. But that wheel, I think, when we're done, is going to really add a nice touch to the bike. So if you've enjoyed watching, hey, thanks for watching. And thanks to all the people who share the passion that we all seem to enjoy through YouTube. Again, thanks for watching. Now we're expecting Glenn to come over tomorrow morning to try to mount up the tires. Maybe do a couple other little odds and ends on this. We got to mount the Curvy Girl valve stems. He's going to take Mark's fender back. Our Benelli, the twin to this, is out in the garage drying already. And Vince is coming over tonight. Vince is going to be here at some point in time today. And with a set of wheels that he's doing up. And he has some unique ideas that we talked about on the phone, but we're going to see how it plays out.